Little did anyone know, mere hours after a chilling Facebook video surfaced recounting Joseph Eaton's traumatic past, the quiet town of Bowdoin in Maine would be plunged into a horrifying nightmare.
What good's it do to hate somebody? You know, it destroys you. It's not the way things were supposed to be done. It's not the way we were made. Just need to try to forgive me for the things I did. I've been dealing with trauma for a long time on things I don't talk to people about. Being molested and stuff, you know, it destroys somebody. You know I'm good for my kids, and I just wish someone would forgive me. You know, some people, I don't get it.
On April 18th, 2023, the man from that video, 34-year-old Joseph Eaton, would unleash a wave of terror, brutally murdering his own parents, 62-year-old Cynthia Eaton and 66-year-old David Eaton, along with their friends, 62-year-old Patty Eager and 72-year-old Robert Eager, in the Eagers' tranquil home. But the horror didn't stop there, as Joseph's rampage spilled onto the highway, where he injured 3 more victims, believing the police were hot on his heels. In the midst of the chaos, 51-year-old Sean Halsey and his 2 children, 29-year-old Justin Halsey and 25-year-old Paige Halsey, were caught in the crossfire, with the latter being critically injured, but her breathing tube was removed on April 19th and she started recovering. However, this wasn't Joseph Eaton's first brush with the law, and it wouldn't be the last time he danced on the precipice of madness and murder either, as he had shockingly and dangerously come close to ending the lives of his own children's mothers before. This is the sinister case of Joseph Eaton. In the heartland of Kansas, back in the mid-2000s, his journey with the law began as a young rebel. Juvenile troublemaker, he faced a 9-month probation for charges of battery, burglary, and theft. Yet, his loved ones clung to the hope of his transformation, relentlessly vouching for him. Then, in 2008, Maine witnessed his second bout with justice, landing him another 24 months of probation for burglary. A chorus of supporters, including a devoted pastor, mentors, teachers, and of course his steadfast family and friends, penned letters urging a chance for him to finish probation in Maine alongside his expectant fiancée. Among those voices were the Eagers, longtime family friends who believed that he would change for the better. He's becoming a fine young man. He's doing his best to stay on the straight and narrow, and I see changes in him that will benefit him long term, penned Patty Eager in her 2013 letter. Years later, separated from his ex-fiancée and restrained by a protection order, he yearned to meet his son, a child now in her custody. Their reunion was on the horizon. As she sat in her car, she bravely resisted his advances, refusing his unwanted kisses. His frustration ignited as he interrogated her about potential infidelity and demanded access to her phone. The situation escalated to a terrifying crescendo as the arrest affidavit revealed his ominous threat that he was going to kill her. He shoved her against the car door, hands tightening around her throat. Their child by then had started crying. Summoning every ounce of strength, she leaned on the horn, forcing Joseph to retreat and get out of the car. She drove away, dialing the police while he pursued them relentlessly. Arrested and later pleading guilty to aggravated assault, he received a 3-year probation sentence with strict orders to limit contact with his ex-fiancée and their child. Permission was granted for him to serve probation at his parents' Florida home, but his plans hit a legal roadblock. His father's staunch refusal to surrender his firearms clashed with federal law, which prohibits convicted felons from residing in a household with guns. Less than a year later, he found himself back in the courtroom, facing the first of many probation violations. His relentless messages, despite her pleas to stop, revealed a disturbing pattern of obsession as reported by his ex-fiancée. Later on, he embarked on a new chapter, marrying again and having his second child with his new wife, and had become a stay-at-home father. But behind closed doors, a dark pattern of abuse was unfolding. In December 2015, the storm erupted. He found himself in handcuffs, charged with domestic assault after a violent altercation with his wife in their Waldoboro mobile home, where they lived with their newborn and the wife's child from her previous relationship. The chilling incident involved slaps, strangulation, and had left her with visible bruises, red marks, and swollen eyes. Tragically, even the 2-year-old stepson wasn't spared as he got caught up in the chaos, suffering a blow to the head during the altercation. Eaton lashed out, banging his own head against the car window and threatening the officers, all the while ironically claiming he'd never harm anyone. Fast forward 2 years to 2017, and he was once again incarcerated in Maine. His parents, determined to help him find redemption, penned a letter seeking his transfer to Florida, citing their previous success in aiding his older brother, an ex-Marine who conquered PTSD, earned a degree, and secured a promising career. However, just a year after his release, in the tumultuous year of 2018, he found himself once more in the unforgiving grip of law enforcement, this time in the clutches of Florida's Nassau County Police. His turbulent history pointed to a deeper issue, one that extended beyond the confines of a jail cell. It appeared that his troubles were rooted in mental health, and his sporadic brushes with incarceration seemed only to exacerbate his downward spiral. In January of that fateful year, a distress call from his aunt, Kimberly Castajon, painted a chilling picture. She alerted the police to her nephew Joseph's menacing mental breakdown, further compounded by the alarming fact that he possessed a firearm. Fear gripped her, not just for herself, but for the safety of others, as she believed he was teetering on the brink of either harming someone else or, tragically, himself. Swiftly, deputies arrived on the scene, discovering him in a frenzied state, wielding a wooden bat to demolish household items. They had to act decisively, using a taser and sheer physical strength to subdue him as he charged towards them. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, he confessed to have taken marijuana, methamphetamine, and heroin, a toxic blend that seemed to unravel his sanity. It became evident that his destructive episodes often coincided with substance abuse, which was in the records of his prior arrests. The court records chronicled a troubled history, a roller coaster of arrests, intermittent treatment, and a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. Following a 2015 evaluation in the aftermath of a domestic violence incident, he was labeled a grave threat to community safety with a looming risk of repeat offenses, and indeed, the ominous pattern persisted, as it had done many times before. Following a 3-year stint behind bars, he was set free in 2021, only to find himself in the clutches of the law again within a year, this time facing charges of aggravated assault. Fast forward to April 14, 2023. His parents flew from Florida to Maine to witness his release from the Maine Correctional Center in Windham, where he had served time for the aggravated assault. His mother picked him up and brought him to the Eagers Bowdoin residence. But just 4 days later, on that fateful April 18th morning, a gruesome discovery awaited Patty's sister, Lisa Shea, who had come to retrieve a forgotten sweatshirt. As she approached the house, bloodstains adorned the front steps, and her cries for response fell on deaf ears. Entering the home, a scene of shattered glass, bloodied floors, and a lifeless form shrouded in a towel confronted her. As she uncovered the lifeless form, uncertainty gripped her. The deceased bore a striking resemblance to David Eaton, almost uncanny. However, a vivid memory emerged. She distinctly recalled seeing Robert Eager don that very shirt on a different occasion. Inside the house, a chilling tableau unfolded, an arsenal of not specified firearms scattered and bullet-riddled walls. There, Lisa spotted ominous drag marks leading to another part of the home. She followed them briefly but wisely chose to first call the authorities. As the law enforcement arrived, Lisa recounted her unsettling discovery. When asked who she expected to find at the residence, she named her sister and her husband, who were the homeowners, and David and Cynthia Eaton, whom she was aware were visiting. She also expected the guest's son, Joseph Eaton, but he was not at the scene. Inside the house, a grim scene awaited them, with the lifeless bodies of Robert Eager, Patty Eager, and Cynthia Eaton. David Eaton's body lay outside in a barn. Even the Eager's dog had fallen to gunfire. Amid the horror, an enigmatic unsigned note emerged, hinting at past trauma, the pursuit of freedom from pain, and a longing for a fresh start. The previous day's cryptic video by Joseph Eaton lent credence to the suspicion of his involvement. Just an hour later, a frantic call to 911 unfolded on Interstate 295 as a woman reported being fired upon by a mystery assailant while passing a car. A subsequent call revealed that 3 individuals, Sean, Justin, and Paige Halsey, had also been shot at on the same interstate. A caller reported a suspicious-looking fellow with blood on him on exit 15, frantically waving in the middle of the roadway. The mysterious man was swiftly apprehended and taken into custody at the Yarmouth Police Department in Maine, who later turned out to be none other than Joseph Eaton. Meanwhile, a college student, Rose Clayton, recounted a harrowing encounter on the interstate. She described 4 vehicles abruptly stopping, an armed man with a shaved head emerging from a gray car and pointing a handgun at her. Earlier that day, police had discovered an abandoned car, believed to be the gunman's vehicle, riddled with bullet holes. The car, a Buick Encore, was rented by David Eaton on April 14 at the Portland International Jetport and was meant for use during their stay at the Eagers' residence. Joseph Eaton eventually confessed to these chilling crimes, admitting to both the shootings and the horrific murders of his parents and the Eagers. Facing charges for 4 murders, Joseph Eaton stared down a grim sentence, with each count carrying a minimum of 25 years to life in prison. He was also charged with stealing weapons. Prosecutors added that Eaton also stole credit cards, money, and property valued between $1,000 to $10,000 from the Eagers and his parents. The police, however, still didn't know Eaton's motive for the murders. In the dramatic courtroom showdown of July 28, 2023, Joseph Eaton took a defiant stance, entering a plea of not guilty, not criminally responsible, leaving him the option of an insanity defense against charges including 4 counts of murder. Eaton, clad in a prison jumpsuit, donned glasses and sported a full beard, maintained an eerie silence throughout the hearing, with his attorney Andrew Wright taking the solemn responsibility of entering the plea not guilty, not criminally responsible on his behalf. Eaton's voice broke his silence only twice, with a simple "yes, sir," acknowledging his understanding of the charges against him. Justice Daniel Billings ordered him to be held without bail on the murder counts, while setting bail at $250,000 for the other charges. In the courtroom, a solemn gathering of 24 people, including Sean Halsey and members of the Eager family, witnessed the proceedings. As Eaton's plea was entered, the room held its breath, with some exhaling audibly and others overcome by tears. Before the hearing, Andrew Wright had told the press the following, and I quote, "At this point, we are preserving the ability to move forward with the so-called insanity defense. Once we have more forensic information, full discovery, and are able to view the case as a whole, we will then decide how to proceed." The victims, etched in the hearts of their loved ones, will forever be celebrated for the love they shared. According to Cynthia Eaton's mother and stepfather, Betty and Kenneth Fagan, Cynthia and David Eaton were a dynamic duo bonded by their passion for motorcycles and had crisscrossed the entire nation, hitting all states except for Alaska and Washington. Cynthia, a driven soul, balanced years of waitressing with driving a school bus for disabled children in Florida. David Eaton's Navy service took the couple on a journey across many places, including Maine, where they forged a lifelong friendship with the Eager family, a bond that was tragically cut short. Patty and Robert Eager embodied generosity, always ready to lend a helping hand. According to their friend Linda Walker, Patty's perpetual smile lit up any room, while Robert was known as the kind of guy who'd give you the shirt off his back. She fondly remembered them as truly good people and didn't deserve to die.